Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphan Last, aka Skylar Madison, and today I'm with Draconian Rain.
Hey!
Alright, so today she's gonna go ahead and kind of line me out on Blender, specifically with the 2D features most especially. Okay, so
You might want to turn on or off Windows Ink.
Windows Ink.
I find mine under tablet properties, the one you just had open briefly with Wacom, but the mapping tab, second tab.
Mapping, okay.
Try turning that off and see if that works better.
Yeah, it's not so grabby. Alright, that's cool. Okay, so, let me just go ahead and go into Blender real quick. Okay, so what's new? I know that left click to select things is new. I personally prefer that. I'm gonna keep
It's whatever you're most comfortable with. I've been using Blender for so long that I've gotten used to the old style of right click, so I've got mine set to that. I'm not willing to change just yet.
I go File, New, File, New, 2D Animation, okay? And then, okay, so I draw something, whatever. Now, I can go ahead and zoom and such. That's easy.
Yep.
Middle mouse click to rotate, but to get back into that view is sometimes a pain in the butt.
With the views, you always use your number pad to change the views. And if you want to pan, you've got to hold shift and middle mouse click.
Pan, shift and middle mouse click, okay?
Yep.
Okay, okay, so let me go back into my tablet settings.
For me personally, I have one of my pen buttons as middle click and then I hold shift on the keyboard and that seems to work the best.
It'll be a weird learning curve. Okay, one thing that's irritating here. Okay, so if I'm in Blender here and I press 1, 2.
Yep.
Okay, so 2. What's the difference from 1 and 2? Because like
1 is front view. It looks like you're also in orthographic view, and we'll get into orthographic and perspective eventually. 1, front view. 2, it angles the view slightly, which can be pretty useful, but you're probably not going to use it that much in 2D. 3 is looking from the right side. Control 3 is flipping it in the complete opposite and showing on the left. And 7 is a top-down view.
Okay, cool.
I don't really use the other numbers much, and 0 is camera view, so that's exactly how it's going to be rendered, and you might go back and forth between that rather than front view.
Okay, so that's what I start out in 0. Okay.
Yes.
Alright, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, right now you're exactly inside the camera in the actual 3D camera, and that grayed out part is everything outside the camera.
Okay, cool. I understand that over here to the right we have collections. I don't understand anything about those. And I understand that my layers panel is also the same thing as this ultimately.
Yeah, you can actually close that and just use the one. If you get your mouse over that little line in the middle where you ended up with 2 arrows, right click and join. You can join the window down and fuse it and just basically get rid of it. You can do it either direction, whatever you hover over.
Okay, cool.
And that neatens it up. It's very customizable. At any point you can pop it back open, or it's just totally up to you. You can fully customize the workspace.
Okay, so let's see. What happened to all the other options that I had though?
Okay, so next to that pencil icon up the top is a tiny little arrow. Tiny little arrow to the left, just slightly over a bit more.
Oh, okay.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, so the pencil is the layers panel.
And then below that is the render settings, and if you're going to use special effects, you'll need to tick things like ambient occlusion and volumetrics and whatnot, like especially if you're using Eevee. And the inks, what you wanted was just below the pencil icon, and it's a ball shaped, and they're actually technically a material.
Okay, this is the materials tab. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so layers, materials. Okay, so look for the beach ball if I need materials. Alright, so where do you think we should start with collections, I guess?
Yeah, well, with collections, they're kind of similar to if you're using like Photoshop or Creator and you have a folder of layers, except when you start using the special effects, it's going to affect everything within that collection instead of individual layers, which I was confused by at first. So if you're going to use special effects like blur, you're going to have to plan out where you're going to put them within the collections.
Okay, so the collections are like groups.
They're a lot like groups, yes.
Okay, cool.
And they function differently to how they did in old Blender. And I haven't really had to use them too much in just different groups. I've just been using a lot of grease pencil layers inside the one collection, but the time comes to making special effects like a blurry background, you're going to have it in its own collection, otherwise it'll blur the entire scene, like absolutely everything in it. So that's where it starts to become a little bit more important, but other than that, it's mostly like a convenient grouping layer. You can organize it or use it pretty much just however you want. There's not really many rules about it.
For us, I think that before we go about making an animation, we should start tackling illustration. So making the background. Okay, so this is the image that we're going to be working with. So how do we get this picture into Blender? Like, is there a way to?
Yep. For ages they didn't have it in, but they've finally re-enabled it.
Sweet.
In the folder you have open right now, just drag and drop it straight into Blender. There's no stuffing around. Yeah, I just started using that the other day, and it should be there.
Okay, so
there we go.
It is in here, but the issue is it's super blurry, and oh wait, no, it's not. Okay, it just gets blurry as I zoom out. How do I rotate it?
I see the way that it's going in. It's kind of going in a little bit weird. I bet when you move that camera around, it's going to disappear.
What?
Because it's a reference image. I would say you would have to click on the camera where the collections are. So if the camera's selected, make sure you're in object mode.
What about edit
You're in
mode?
edit mode. No.
Edit mode
Maybe.
won't work?
Try. You can try. It didn't work for me the other day, but it has changed.
That's so weird.
So go to object mode.
Edit object mode, okay.
Click on the camera in the collections area until it's got like a orange bubble. So the camera is selected now. And then on the side menu where you were playing with your pencil layers, off to the right, there should be a camera, and you should be able to change the image settings from there.
Okay, type, okay, focal length, lens, X shift,
go
Y
down
shift,
further.
depth of field. Whoa, I think
Background images, there it is.
what?
Down one,
image?
background image.
Okay.
Yep.
Alright, so what do I do here? Rotate! Yay! So
There you go.
Is it a 180 that I'm trying to accomplish, or just 90? Oh, I'm trying to do a 90.
I think it's a 90, yeah.
Ah! Alright, cool. But I didn't just rotate the camera, I just rotated the object to its relationship to the camera, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, if you get your middle mouse wheel and you just rotate around the scene, that image disappears. It's a reference image that's only visible in the camera. So if you click middle mouse and rotate around, like move your middle mouse while the click is down, it disappears. So if you're not used to using reference images like that, it could cause a problem. Just remember, press 0 and it'll reappear.
Okay, but all of this, like if I start drawing outside of the canvas here, where the camera region is, that stuff still exists, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and blow this up to being bigger, to where it's like the camera, while he swings, the camera can just pan just a little bit, not a whole lot, but just a little bit.
Scale where it says number 1, just under rotation, that's where you'll change that, and it can be quite sensitive. I would change it to 2 or 3.
2? Aha! Ha ha! That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, that's awesome. What we're going to be doing is drawing the background to this. You know, let's start with creating a new collection.
Yep.
And call it background, because like stroke is not descriptive at all.
And the good thing is, like, this is 3D, so you don't have to think 2D. You can draw your character the same size and use the camera and move your drawn image around or resize your drawn image. There's nothing you can't do. Whereas in straight 2D, you are a little bit limited. You do have to animate things manually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, more opportunity, think big.
So, like, take for example this region right here. We might want it to be at like a 45-degree angle away from the camera, and somehow blend the region underneath that part of the mountain that he's clinging to. Blend it in where it goes to so that it's 90 degrees to the actual camera itself. That's what I'm thinking. So that he's able to do this swing. I'm thinking, like, I'm looking at what he drew. Let me get here and zoom in a little bit. It shows him getting bigger and bigger, but what I think would be cool is if he was just a little bit bigger here, and as he swings, gets bigger and then smaller smaller, so that you understand what I'm saying? So that he swings towards us, swings away, and comes closer to us.
And because we're in a 3D space, like, you could draw him the one size and move him along the 3D plane and make the camera either follow or not follow, and he will possibly resize or not. It just depends on how the camera wants to work, because sometimes I've noticed when you push things around and away in grease pencil, it doesn't actually change the scale, but that's only a matter of just resizing the image. I mean, this is technically a vector, so there's no limitations on how much we want to resize anything. It's not going to destroy the quality at all, and you can do as many tweaks as you want.
Okay, so we have a reference image inside of this file. Let's say I wanted to have a video. Does it have to be a picture? Can it be a video at this point?
I haven't tested a video, but it used to be a feature. It might be available now to use. The only way to find out is to try, but if it's not ready yet, it's probably on the way.
Okay.
Because it was always a popular method to use.
Okay, let's go ahead and start making a collection. I'm sorry, I keep going on these weird tangents. So, let's see here. If I hover here, type of information to display.
You can just right-click in the. It's called the outliner. Just right-click in the grey lines below everything, and a menu will pop out, and you can add new. Just.
Okay. Copy, paste, select, deselect, unlink.
Nope, you've clicked the item, so
new.
Just there you go.
Okay, so double click. Aha! Okay, that's easy. All right, background. Awesome. I noticed that there's an object that's in it, though.
Yes, that's a grease pencil layer object. So come back into the main canvas area.
Main canvas.
Press Shift A. Okay, so you're going to go down there, find grease pencil, and choose blank. Okay. And there you go. Fresh one.
Okay, now let's go ahead and save it. So file, save as, I guess. Holy crap. Okay, so I'm going to... can I create a new file in here?
That's your documents folder. So yep, you should be able to. Up in the top area, there should be a little icon of a folder, and you can add new folder, or right click the gray area and create new folder.
Okay, I'm going to go into my pictures and new folder. Okay, it didn't. Untitled .blend. So the folder is an actual file type. Or
it should have worked. I have no idea why it just did that.
Let me go into here and okay, so let's go into pictures and see what it did. So okay, so far okay, new folder.
New folder. I didn't name it properly by the looks of things.
I'm just gonna name it Blender Animations. Okay. I guess this is where my Blender animations are going to be. Let me backtrack here. So Blender, wait, what? Pictures, and I can't see anything.
You might have to refresh or just cancel and try again so it refreshes. That should work.
How do I cancel?
Way over to the right of the screen.
Right, okay.
Yep.
So file, save as, pictures, nothing. Okay, so users, documents, my pictures. So is this where I name it right here?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just gonna call it Spaceman. So then I say save as Blender file, and let me go in here into pictures, Spaceman. Booyah! Okay, we got that. Okay, so we got a collection. We got a background. Okay, so what would be the next step now? Do you think?
You would add a new layer in the little pencil menu. There's a button for it.
New layer, okay.
New layer, name your layer, and one thing that is a little bit frustrating is when you start going into edit mode to adjust your image, if you don't have certain layers locked, it will edit the entire image. When you're done and decided you don't want it to be affected by anything, you definitely need to get into the habit of locking it.
Okay, alright, that makes sense. So, material...
Yep. That's your basic default material, which is inking for drawing. And if you want something that's got a fill, then you enable fill in that menu just below. And it helps sometimes if you drop down preview so you can see what you're doing to it.
Fill. What menu?
Down below. Down below.
Fill, right.
There we go.
Okay, cool.
A lot of these menus scroll down, so yeah, there's a lot of things hidden.
Custom.
That's me, by the way. We borrowed the neighbor's goat.
Oh, that's cool. Alright, so let's see here. We're in object mode.
Yep, so you want to go to draw mode.
If I plot my
Not
brush,
that's
I'm not able to draw.
That's annotation mode. You don't want that. You want to go into draw mode.
Okay, draw. Okay, so if I plot my brush... Okay, so I don't like how it's such a low opacity.
Okay, so above where you change to draw mode, there should be an extra toolbar and a whole bunch of settings. And there'll be one visible that says radius, and there's like this blue icon next to it that looks like an arrow pointing down into a ditch. And next to that, strength. Strength is your opacity, and the downward arrow is pressure sensitivity.
Is it here?
No, across more, it should say strength.
Options, let's see.
Options, brush, strength. So go across more. It's not in any of the menus, it's next to the menus.
Right here, okay. Strength, right here.
Strength right there. Strength is opacity, so bring that up to 1. It's got pressure sensitivity, and depending on how you adjust strength, the pressure sensitivity affects both. It's either affecting the opacity or the line thickness.
Alright. Let's see, eraser point. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this erases points, like vertices, the equivalent.
Yes, like vectors. Most of these erasers are very vector styled.
Alright. Okay.
If you didn't want to use the eraser to get rid of some of like certain areas and that, you can go into edit mode and individually select the points and delete them yourself.
Okay.
Which is very useful.
Alright, so let's go back into layers. Okay, I just named this black. I'm just going to call this middle, actually. Like the kind of a mid-ground sort of territory. Yep. Because like I'm trying to conceptualize this in 3-dimensional space, and let me know if I'm thinking incorrectly. But I think the first thing that I should focus on is little mountain here that's inside of this cavern. I guess I'll just draw in little details and such like that. Oops.
Yep.
Okay, I'm thinking, like, one thing that I want to have happen is for him to, like, land here and have a rock that lands, but I don't think I should actually draw that rock right now. I think that should be its own layer, I think, probably.
Definitely, and when it's its own layer, you can, like, have that rock, and you can animate the opacity in the beginning of the animation to be completely invisible, and then when you see fit, make it visible and have the animation of it dropping, and it's just so much easier than a lot of other programs because it really is as simple as a click and off you go. Just get straight into it.
Okay, 1 second here. Let me just go ahead and finish off this hill, I guess, or mountain. Okay, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's my first animation in Blender. Oh my goodness.
Yep, that's okay. I thought this was going to happen, but I'm just going to wait until you're ready. There's a feature called reproject strokes that will fix some of these view drawing problems.
Oh, so like for example, this region that I said should probably be at a 45-degree angle to the camera?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, let me undo that. I guess the next step is to fill. So I guess I need a new layer, is that right?
Well, not necessarily. I think really we should just do it more traditional style. So yes, a new layer. Off to the side where you added the new layer, there's up-down arrows. Yep.
Okay.
I have that one on the bottom.
So
name.
Middle. F middle. That sounds good to me. Okay.
So you'll go into that materials ink tab, that little ball symbol, and you'll create a new one, because if you add fill on the drawing when done, you'll fill in the drawing that you've done, like you can see there in the review now.
Okay, so I need to add new material.
So that you'll have to undo the fill on your drawing, because if you look at your drawing...
Right, okay, yeah,
it's like in OpenToons when you change the color with the vector, it changes it all across. It's the same rule applies here when it comes to fill and color. So add a new ball material just like you added a new layer.
Okay.
Yep, so down the bottom is new. Down.
New.
Down.
Okay,
yep.
Cool. All right.
There you go.
Material. Can I name the material?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's call it fill, whatever. And, okay, so I scroll down here, I change it from stroke to fill, color.
And it helps if you enable preview to see what changes you're making as you go. It's just a drop-down menu.
Okay,
up a bit.
Up a bit, okay.
A little, there it is, preview, the word, and the tab.
Preview.
That's actually tabbed down. There you go.
Okay.
So it helps a lot if you watch that as you're going and you're creating your colours.
Can I move this thing?
Don't think so, but I know you can request it.
I can request it?
Yep.
Oh, from the developers.
Yes.
Okay, so...
requests are still open.
Saturation. I want a low saturation of brown, but I want it to be fairly dark.
If you decide you don't like colour picking within Blender, they do enable hex code input.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a tab there, hex, in that menu, and you just copy paste it and have what you like. Looks like you have strength on low again, maybe.
No, strength is at
oh, you've changed the stroke, not the fill.
Oh, right.
Dirt.
That's okay. So surface fill options. Okay.
You've just collapsed fill. So click the little triangle next to fill. Nope, that's in preview. So surface. There you go.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see. Okay. So that's working out pretty good. So I guess I should probably zoom out and try to get it exact, but I know that I'm not.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. Easily readjust it, like the sculpt tools, and changing the individual points and that. But as you get more used to it, what I personally would do is I'd have to have the stroke enabled. I'd draw the basic outline and then I'd come back with a plain ink pen and fill in the details afterwards. But it's so different to everything else. It's something you really have to get used to doing.
I thought it would be like edit mode or something. Let's see. Move. Transform maybe? No, that's not it. Let's see. Sculpt mode. That's it, isn't it?
Yep. If you've got your ink layer unlocked, then yeah, it's unlocked. So lock your ink layer and then sculpt around, and you should be able to adjust it very easily.
All right. So this is not what you normally recommend, is that right?
Yeah, like I have found that it can get tedious over time when you're animating, but for backgrounds, it's not a bad thing because it being 3D, you don't have to repeatedly draw your background.
All right. But wait, isn't this the main thing that you're going to be using when you're doing the line interpolation inside of Blender?
Yes. So for me personally, like you've got line art on one layer and a fill on the other. When you're making your materials or inks, you can also have that line art on the outside of your inks. So what I would do is I would have my ink, my stroke enabled on my material. So when I move this sort of thing around, it would be moving a bit of everything, the fill color and the line art on the outside. And then on the inside of this drawing where you've got the cracks, that would be a separate layer and it would be just the plain black ink on its own, and I'd move that individually too, which would cause some interesting animation effects. It's just something to get used to, especially when you've got a 2D or raster mindset where you're used to doing ink completely separate from color.
I see.
It doesn't necessarily have to be completely separate, and it's just something to get used to, and you'll understand more what I'm talking about when you give it a try for yourself. And you just it's one of those things that the message goes through better if you try it as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially when you're a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah, to some extent, I'm kind of like drawing a blank with what you're describing. But like, yeah, I'm totally interested in everything you just described, and I'm almost done with this fill at this point. Okay, I guess I have another question that's going to come up. I guess our next step, if it's possible. Okay, so our reference image is getting completely obscured by what I'm drawing, and I'm not really too fond of that. I kind of want to see the whole context of what it is that I'm working on.
In the camera, so you'll have to go into object mode, back to where it had the background images menu. There's an area where it says alpha and depth, and these two options, back or front. You'll want to click either one to see which one's working. I chose front for mine, so my image is sitting in front, but it's not completely obscuring my reference, and the alpha will control the opacity of my reference image as I work.
Actually, this is the most success I've had so far, which is kind of pathetic.
Well, it's not that bad. I mean, I've been watching around the community and other people that just jump straight in and they're having a lot more trouble. It's entirely new. I mean, Blender is doing what they do best. They're doing things differently to everybody else. So there's really not a huge amount of tutorials or support out there just yet, but it's coming.
And the betas keep changing, and so the workflows change from those tutorials. So,
a lot of the bigger changes, there's a change in icons, which is causing a lot of problem too for newcomers.
Alright, so camera. Let's go into camera.
So object mode first, otherwise you can't select it.
Okay.
And then click on the camera in the list, so just because it's easier that way. So in collections, there we go. So it's highlighted orange in the canvas area. That's how you know it's definitely selected.
Okay.
You're in the right area on the right. In background images, scroll down a bit. Down a little bit more where it says alpha, depth, and frame method. You want to, there you go, got it.
Ha ha! Alright.
And cool. Alpha for the opacity of your reference.
Alpha. Oh, right. Okay.
Yep.
It does make sense that this needs to be a lower opacity so I can actually see what it is I'm doing. Okay, let me zoom in so that I can actually see. Okay, that's beautiful. I like that a lot. A floor that's at a 90 degrees to what we're working on. Let's do the floor of this cow,
okay.
I guess.
So you can draw either like this in the camera view, or you can draw within the 3D space. It's up to you, but I recommend just coming out of the camera view and pressing 1. Yep. Scroll over to the side and draw the floor how you want it to look, exactly how you want it to look, because it's technically a 3D object, and then when you're satisfied with how the floor looks, we'll move it around much like a 3D model and position it in the angles that you want.
Okay, I'm going to create a new layer.
Yep, and lock the other one just so they don't interfere with each other.
Okay, and I'm going to call this floor. Alright, and I'm going to put that at the bottom of the stacking order.
And you can hide that mountain out of view if you want, or just keep it, it's up to you. But draw it how you want, because it's technically a 3D object and we can do whatever we want to it.
Okay, I need to go into my objects. Objects, okay, I need to scroll up, go to materials first. And I'm thinking
that's one of the features I like. You can actually smooth out the lens too with some of the sculpt tools. You just hover above it to find out. You can wrinkle the line or smooth it. I think it's more the tool. If you go down 2 more tools, you might find that the other tool is more effective. Or
okay, so different tools.
1 more down, I think, or no, that seems right. I think that one's the more smudge-like.
Alright, and now let's do a fill. I guess you were talking about trying to do the strokes and the fills all in the same layer, right?
Yeah, well, what I meant by that is you unticked stroke when you were creating the fill. I would personally leave stroke on, like ticked. It's a confusing concept when you're new to it. So tick stroke, just to see the effect in action, and that's what you'd be getting in the preview is how you'd be getting it, sort of thing. So there's a stroke around the edge instead of doing them separately. Because
Control
that's
Z.
The fill.
Yeah.
Control Z again.
Z. Okay. All right.
There you go. So drop the stroke menu down and change the color of the stroke.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Let's. Okay. Now that we. Okay. Let's see if there's an edit. How do I edit? Redo. Control Shift Z. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So I need to. I'm gonna just erase this. Since you mentioned that, I kind of want to do that with my fill. So yeah, pull out my brush and I guess yeah. Let's. Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, that's what I was trying to explain, but it's a bit hard to take in at first when you're trying to get used to everything all at once. And then if you wanted extra little details, you can still use the same brush. You don't have to change, but sometimes it can cause problems, and I just personally like to use a plain ink brush for little details on there.
Okay. Here's a question. Let's say I've gone ahead and drawn this out. Can I go into object mode, select it? I
would go into edit mode personally, because that's what I'm used to.
Edit mode.
So edit mode, press the A key to select everything.
Oh, I don't want to
the letter A.
I just want to select this and make it a new object. Is there any way that I can make this a new object?
Yep, you'll still have to press A and select it. Because you've got the other layers locked, it's only going to select this drawing. Shift D should duplicate.
Oh, Shift
D and move your mouse. There you go.
Okay, so like, if I go into my layers, like, okay, so let me Control Z that. Okay, so let's say I want it to be a new layer. sort of object.
Oh, okay. That, for me, has caused some issues, but you would still... I'm just double-checking, but...
Okay,
Alright, so you would still need to be in edit mode.
How about if we gave it different what is the term? Different materials.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can give this different materials?
Yeah, while it's selected, I can never remember what mode. I'm pretty sure it's in edit mode. While it's selected, you should be able to make changes to it. First, you create your material, and then in the strokes menu, there should be an option, assign material or assign stroke or something like that, where you can just easily change it over from what you have in your menus selected.
Okay. Let's see. I'll try changing some of these values, I guess. Let's fill. Okay, so stroke is still selected. Okay, I can do a color picker, it looks like. So I'll color pick that, and I'm going to change the saturation significantly and maybe lighten it up just a bit, I guess. And so what would I do at this point in order to give this different materials at this point? Because like I can redraw it, and now that I'm thinking about it, like these stalactites or stalagmites, I'm never quite sure. They're not necessary because this is going to be a flat object that he's sitting on. That he's going to.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's changed where it is. So a bit confused.
It's fine. I'll just go ahead and go into draw mode and use this new material and draw it out exactly where I want it. And so let's. Okay, so how like when I go into like the 3D mode now, it's locked to 90 degrees to the camera. And
okay, so you're in draw mode still for that. So you can go into edit mode.
Edit mode.
Move the camera around where you want, and you want those orange points visible. You want to select A.
Okay, A.
And then you want to use your hotkeys rather than your little menu items, but you can use that gizmo. That's called a gizmo, by the way, that green ball thing in the middle. Green, blue, and red ball thing. Okay. So right now you're rotating along the axis. I would stop there.
Really?
Yeah, stop there. Press the 3 key, the 3 on the number pad, and watch yourself rotate from the side like that, so you can get the best angle.
Okay, let's go ahead and go something like that. So that's uphill or something, just ever so, because like the water is running downhill. So
yeah.
Okay, so go back to 1.
And then after that, go into 0 camera view, because the camera's actually looking down slightly. So press 0 on the number pad.
0 on the number pad. Okay.
All right, so that's your camera view, and that's how your floor looks. And you can adjust further in that view the angle if you want. You can move it up and down and around.
Okay, let's see.
So the gizmo, yep, that thing, that's called the gizmo.
Okay, so I just need to move it up a little bit. Let's go ahead. Ooh. Yeah, let's go ahead and angle it up a little bit more, I believe. Okay, so it's, yeah, oh wow, that is an incline.
Yep, and that, you know, you can adjust that as you go, but that isn't going to be that obvious being 2D and flat shaded, and as your camera moves around it can be a really cool effect, and sometimes you're going to need extreme angles like that to visually represent what you're going for.
Okay.
It's a very different very, very different thing to do, and it's hard to explain, but once you start doing it you'll understand more as you go along.
Okay. I'm going to just kind of sculpt this a little bit so that you know, just I have everything within the original canvas all covered up, because I don't want the camera to move and then all of a sudden weirdness happens. So I'll go into 3. I kind of want to see what it looks like, what I just did there. Oh, weird. Did I make a bowl shape, sort of?
Yeah, you kind of did. It's still technically 3D because you in the camera view instead of in the number 1 view, it created that.
Okay.
It created that look, but there is always the option of what's called reproject strokes. So what you can do is you can go back into your camera view by pressing the 0 key, and in edit mode, make sure everything's selected like that. All of the dots look orange, so the A hotkey to select everything. Okay. And then it's in. Yep.
Well, it's just selecting. Okay.
I think
if I press
you're
A, it's
still
selecting
in.
the camera too.
You look like you're in object.
Edit mode. All right. Okay. But the camera's still selected. Okay. So Alt D. I'm Alt A.
Oh.
Double click A. Okay. I don't know. It seems like the camera's selected too, which is maybe a problem.
While you're in that camera view, I put there. While you're in that view, everything's selected. There's a menu called Strokes, and you have to go all the way down the menu, and there should be an option
Strokes all the way down the menu. Clean up.
to reproject them unless they've moved it again. It should be there.
Reproject strokes. Clean up. Reproject strokes.
Clean up. There it is.
Okay. Reproject strokes. Okay, I did that, and
Yep, and it'll ask you front, side, top, or view. You'll want to reproject it to view.
View. Aha! Ha 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 ha!
So that should fix it. And that is something I wrote down in my little note just yesterday to mention and bring up, but I also wanted to see if we'd even get that far.
Okay, cool. Alright, I'm already going into advanced stuff because I'm a genius. Oh, shoot. Okay, so we need to go back into the layers panel. I think I need to create another layer, and I'm going to call this B middle for behind middle. Okay, and I'm going to use my materials, and I'm going to use the fill material here, and we're going to eventually, I guess, make this further back, but maybe not further back. I guess parts of it need to be further back. Maybe it needs to be inclined, what I'm going to draw out here. But
so you'd basically repeat the same process, draw it flat first, and then change the angle of it after.
Okay, so draw.
So press the 1 key and make sure that you're actually in a flat view, because right now you're actually on an angle and you might encounter the same problem and have to reproject again.
The 1 key. Okay.
Yep. That puts it in a full flat orthographic view.
Okay, that's me just assuming what needs to be done. And so I'm going to go zoom in, go back in, go into sculpt mode, and I guess...
And because you've got the other layer up and selected, that will also sculpt as well. So the floor being unlocked.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because the layer's unlocked, it's also going to sculpt, yeah.
Oh, okay, so I need to go back into the layer, go to my floor, lock it.
Yep.
That
then
is
you can do that.
Interesting.
And then as you get more used to it, I'll show you other things to get around that, and that is a little bit complicated at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, no, let's not do erasing. Okay, sculpt mode.
I think for that, there is a sculpt brush, top of the list of the sculpt brushes, and it smooths out your points. If you try that, that might work better.
Yeah, alright. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. You know what, we don't need to incline this one. We could just make another layer and have this one have just a kind of a floating layer in the background that's the same color behind this, and we can call that good. And as the camera pans a little bit, we can get kind of a little bit of a parallax effect. I think that would be pretty cool.
Definitely. And I really like how Blender does parallaxing.
Alright, so let's see. I'm going to create a new layer, lock my previous layer. I'm going to call this BG for background. That's usually my default name for it. Draw. Okay, so materials, I'm thinking...
Well, one thing you can do, because this is 3D, you can actually change the world color unless you want to actually draw.
Okay.
Because right now the color of the world is white, and it's a globe icon, although it might not be obvious as a globe being new to Blender. But where your item menus are, where you've been selecting your material and your pencil layer, go up along there until you find another little ball-shaped icon, and it's called World. Nope. Down on the side here near where you've created your new fills and things.
Okay, here.
Yep, that sidebar to the left of that.
Oh, okay.
Where you've been selecting your items, yep.
World.
There you go.
Haha, first try.
Straight on it. Yep, and you'll have to change your render view mode. So...
Okay.
Alright, yep, try that one. You're exactly on that.
Aha.
There you go, that's the change of your color background.
Alright, and since parallaxes can be somewhat unpredictable, I'm thinking I'm just going to go ahead and draw out the entire thing all the way to the ground, just because I don't want there to be any potential for a problem later on down the road. And it seems like it's on top of the stacking order, so I'm going to go into the layers panel and maybe move this down to the bottom.
If it doesn't visually work in the future and it just stays visibly on top of everything, it's just a matter of pulling that image back in the 3D view too. That's just another thing, because sometimes you can stack things in order and they just don't want to appear the way you want.
Okay, let's see. If I were to do this and then go like that, oh yes, it does overlap. That's
yep,
so cool.
And because it's vector or vector-like, let's say you accidentally did it back to front, you don't have to click. You don't have to undo it, you don't have to erase it. You can actually go into edit mode, select just that one drawing, and you can either push it back manually, or you can select that one drawing like as a whole, and you can go into the strokes menu and reposition. It's called arrange drawings or arrange strokes or something like that, just like a vector program, and you can bring it forward or back.
Okay, so I went ahead and created one of these, so okay, all right. I think I selected this one.
So pressing one point like you did, press the L key on the keyboard.
L? Oh.
Yep, that selects that individual drawing. Then in the strokes menu...
What does L stand for? Does it stand for anything, or is it just like...
I'm not completely sure what L stands for, but what it does is it individually selects items, whereas the A key selects all.
Okay, I'm going to say it stands for link. Everything linked to that one vertice that I selected. Okay.
Probably. And then in strokes menu, let's say you want it pushed back, so you would go down close to the bottom where it says arrange strokes in the strokes menu.
Okay, am I in my strokes menu? Materials, data?
No, it's on the top bar menu.
This thing?
Wait, no, on the top, in the middle, above your canvas.
Strokes, right. And then arrange, you said, right?
Yep. Arrange strokes closer towards the bottom, and then you can send it. No, too far. There we go.
Arrange strokes. Okay.
You can either bring it all the way forward or all the way back, or push it slightly.
Okay.
So then when you go into your draw mode,
how do I really know? Like,
go back into your draw mode.
Okay, I guess I do know. Okay, draw mode. Okay, I can see. Ha ha ha!
So it's been pushed all the way back.
Alright, I think that looks awesome. Is there a keyboard shortcut to send it back?
Not that I know of, but they're still working on the ability to create custom hotkeys. I recently just saw there was a couple of bugs with it, but there are ways to make your own custom hotkeys for situations like that, especially when you use it heaps and heaps.
Okay, I see.
But it's just something to keep an eye on.
Alright, let's go ahead and move this structure that he's standing on back. So I pressed 1, and okay, let me go into draw mode just because I'm getting irritated with the doohickey, or what did you call it?
The gizmo.
Gizmo, that's it. Okay, so edit mode, I think. Alright,
yep,
so select that, press L for everything associated with it, and let's see, I should probably press 3, I think?
Yes, yep, that's it.
Click on this green and go like that, and then check how it's looking inside.
And basically on the front view, it's not really going to that changed, but when you go into camera view, you'll start to notice some of the subtle changes.
Okay, I'm gonna see something real quick. I'm gonna press Shift and select another one, and press L. Haha, it works! Okay, Shift L, and I'm gonna Shift L that one too, and... Alright, cool. And then press 3 and move you on back. Press 0 and zoomy zoom. So I'm gonna go into sculpt mode, I think. Let's see, sculpt mode. Is it weird that I go into sculpt mode so much?
No, not at all. I mean, there's symbols in, I was gonna say Flash, but that's dead. Animate CC and Toon Boom, where you can basically do the same thing. It's just that this is way more convenient.
What is it?
I'd smooth it out and go down just one brush, because one brush is pull and the other one is like smudge. That one's adjust line thickness.
That's cool, but
very, very useful.
Okay, so that one's like the pump tool. Okay. Control Shift Y, I think is redo. Okay, whatever. Okay, now it's working.
Sometimes it does that. I can't explain it, but I generally find if you go back, re-smooth the points, it just starts working good again.
Okay, smooth. Come on. Oh, right. I'm thickening up. Oh, that's way. Does this?
Press the Control or Alt key, and that might make it work in the reverse as you're brushing over the line thick. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so so let me zoom out, see what we got so far. I guess what we need at this point. Now, if I started drawing at this point, would I be drawing the stuff that's all the way out here?
You'd be drawing, hopefully, with the number 1 key pressed first on a flat view. It does have a default position, which is where you started off with the first mountain. So that's where it's going to end up drawing. Okay. And I wouldn't worry too much about where it's positioned until last, but there are other options. When you're in draw mode and there's this menu above the canvas, this main top toolbar, there's something called origin, something called front, and it has XZ on it, and then guides. The front one is the one you'll be most interested in because that can change where you're going to draw. So if you wanted to draw specifically exactly where the top of that mountain is, you might want to use draw to cursor instead of draw to front XZ or draw to view.
Okay. So where would I go for that? Yeah, I don't think I want to do that.
So I think the best thing until you get used to it, make sure that you've hit the 1 key, draw flat, and then draw everything and worry about where the position is dead last and position them much like you did with the floor.
Okay.
Also, where I showed you how to change the color, I'm not super proficient at it, but you can actually import an image to fill that out. So that's also an option to try out.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, you're not limited to just using color. I mean, it's 3D, so you can use almost anything you want. If you're sculpting with your drawings, how I showed you to select with L, you do that, and then when you're in select mode, there's an icon next to it, and it's sculpt only selected. That might be more helpful for you, because even if you push your image back from other images, as soon as you start sculpting, it's going to sculpt everything.
Okay, I think it's Alt-A to deselect. Alright,
yep.
So let's see. That's looking pretty good. I think let's go ahead and I'm going to create another layer. I'm convoluted. Be background back 1, so this is behind the background again. Draw a bunch more stalactites, I guess, or stalagmites, whatever they call them. I think it's stalagmites.
Stalactites are the ones that are on the roof, and I still remember the stupid rhyme to remember which one's which. They're in school, they're like stalactites hold on tight, and a stalagmite hopes it might grow, so they're the one ground.
Okay, and I think after this, I need to go into, okay, let's see, sculpt mode again, and let's see. Oh, right, I need to lock my prior layer.
Yeah.
So I don't mess anything up. I might want to stretch some of this out a little bit.
I have no idea why it does that sometimes with the fill and the points, but I find if you like subdivide the points further or smooth them, it fixes that weird fill issue.
Okay, so let's see. If I go into, I think it's edit mode.
Yep.
Select L, and then we went into strokes and subdivide. Okay, let's try that again. L, stroke, subdivide.
Up a bit?
Right
there we
there.
go.
And it's still looking pretty wonky. And try again.
It's a strange issue. Like
it's a beta. We're allowed to have some screw ups. Okay, now I don't need to sculpt anything. I'm going to go ahead and I guess use my mouse a bit and take a look at. Okay, so that it was looking pretty weird. Okay, so edit mode. I believe edit. Select rotate more. I'm going to move this all the way back to wherever this stuff is. Let's press 3, I guess. Oh, okay. It's fine if it's further back, I guess. It's no big deal. And one last object, which will just be kind of like a darker sort of region in here, and then we can start adding like cloud effects in there later on down the road once we start getting towards edit this. And let's see, okay, so how is it that I can make it so I only edit this? Because like, oh wait, no, never mind. BG was...
Yeah, I mean, there is another way, right? If you have things unlocked and you only want to sculpt that, you've already got the first step right with having that selected, but up near where you changed to sculpt mode, just slightly to the right is a strange looking icon, and it says only sculpt selected stroke points when you hover over it.
Okay.
And just right next to, like really close next to where sculpt mode says, there's an icon that looks like a twisted robe with 2 square points.
Okay.
That's it. So enable that by clicking it.
Oh, okay.
So if your other layers are unlocked, it's not going to matter. It's only going to those orange points.
Okay. Okay, since it's all the way back there, can I just... Is there any way inside of edit mode to just say, get bigger, grow?
Yeah. There's scale, or you can use the hotkey S.
Oh, okay.
You can even use those.
This is awesome. This is freaking cool. Okay, Control Z, I think. Let's see, scale. I want these way vertical. That would be freaking cool. Can I flip it?
Yeah, you can flip it. I prefer to use rotate, but there's so many ways that you can flip things around. Which way do you want to flip it, first of all?
I just want to flip it vertically.
Vertically.
Like
so
180 degrees.
Yeah, so what I would personally do, I press the R key, which is rotate, because everything's selected. It's alright. And then you've got that, so press the Z key first. And press the Z key. Now that's going to lock it to that, so that looks like it's the wrong one, so try switching to the X.
That looks fine. That's exactly what I kind of wanted.
Alright then, so what that did was it rotated only on the Z axis.
Okay.
And if you change your mind, you can press X for the X axis, or Y for the Y axis, and they're color coded with the gizmo. That blue line is Z. The green.
You're cutting out a little bit. Shoot. You there? Hello? 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 Draconian Rain? Hello?
Draconian Rain!
Hello? Okay, you're back. Okay.
Yeah, I just got cut off for a bit there.
Alright, so you know what? I think this is one more layer, like I said, and I'm going to put it down here and call it fog, whatever. Go into my materials, and I think I'm going to create a new material for this. New, and I don't think it needs to have a stroke at all. Fill, and just, yeah, something dark, and maybe blue-ish. Yeah.
Too, also, like when you're creating background things like this, you're not limited to solid color, and it's quite easy to change. In the style part of that menu, you can even use gradient if you feel like it, or textures, or practically anything.
Okay.
So it's just something worth noting.
I think we should keep it simple for right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so something that we talked about earlier was that, let me change the view. We mentioned how, on this object right here, let's get in whoa, okay, the fog, 1 second. I need to fix the fog. So edit mode, select the fog, L. This needs to just be darker, I think, and more desaturated. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now I need to go into a 3D mode and move it back. And I think I'm going to have to scale it once I go into 0 mode. Yeah, I'll need to scale it. Scale it big. Alright, big. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this object right here, having this upper portion be at something like a 45-degree angle. Like,
yep.
Okay, I need to go into my layers panel and find it. I think I called it middle.
That's one way to find it.
This one I don't think we need. This middle right here. Let's delete, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, so delete. No.
You use the minus key underneath the plus to delete it.
Okay, so F middle. Okay, I'm going to unlock that, lock everything else. Yes. Okay, so how would we go about selecting this upper portion and making it...
Well, you can make it a literal 45-degree angle, actually. So I would use the A key to select all in edit mode.
Okay, rotate, and let's see.
I just got cut off then, but you can use hotkeys to get the exact literal degrees of angles that you want.
Oh, really?
Into the view on the side, or the top view, like you've got it in top view now. I would use the R key for rotate, and then I would physically type the degree number that I want, and then click somewhere so it's confirmed. Because in Blender, somewhere along here, when you're rotating it, you can actually see the number in action as you're rotating something, and tells you the degree, and you can either keep an eye on that number, or you can input it yourself.
Okay, that's cool. Alright, something happened to my floor. It's not flat. I guess that's fine.
Yeah, sometimes that's why you gotta hit the 3 key and go completely on the side, because that's perspective view, and it can really skew the way that you see things compared to orthographic. Okay.
Oh, wait, we need to get water in here. I'm sorry. We need...
It's okay. It's a lot to take in all at once.
Okay, so I'm gonna add, GP, I'm gonna add, water. Okay, and I'm going to lock everything else. I'm going to create a new material, and I'm going to call it water. And let's see, I need to scroll down. I think I need to deactivate the stroke, fill, and I think a nice blue color, yeah, that will probably work. Somehow I'm going to have to match this to the exact same degree as the floor.
Possibly. I mean, it's one of those things where you won't entirely know until you put it into practice.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many advantages to doing this in 3 camera move around, and sometimes you think something will work and then you have to change it. It's one of those things where you have to get used to the fact that it's entirely 3D, and unless you've really played around with 3D a lot, you're just gonna have to try everything you can think of until you get it right at first, until you get used to it. So I personally would just literally play around with it. I don't have any definitive answers on how to do it, because there's more than one way to do it. There's way less limitations than trying to achieve this in just pure 2D.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, it is 2D. I'm just being too nitpicky, trying to get everything perfect. And I mean, like, if it was a 3D model, yeah, it needs to be perfect if it's a 3D model. But if it's 2D, like by nature with 2D, the whole point of 2D is to manipulate the viewer into thinking that they're seeing something more than what they actually are.
Yeah, and because you're actually doing that in 3D, you technically can see more than what you normally would in 2D, but you've got this weird mix of both rules apply, and that's where it starts to cause confusion or difficulties.
We're gonna try it again. All right, let's just scale it. I think that I have things so simplistic right now that I can probably get something so close to what I want without stretching out these vertices out so much that it'll glitch out.
Yeah, and I mean, too, being vertices, you can go in and manually move them point by point, but that's frustrating.
Yeah. All right, I think okay, so far we've created this scene. Right now it looks kind of ugly, but we are going to clean it up over time. Next step that we're going to do when Draconian Rain is ready to meet up with me, she's going to help me animate this guy as he goes ahead and swings across this stalagmite, I believe, attaches himself to this mountain right here, and then shoots over here in order to break his fall as he lands, grabs this egg, and walks towards the camera and holding it. But I think the first thing that we're going to tackle is going to be the egg. Just the egg and the creature inside of it wiggling around and stuff. And maybe but that's the goal for the long term. All right?
Yeah.
You happy with everything?
Yeah.
All right, me too. All right, well, it's been great having you here. If you guys haven't checked out Draconian Rain's channel, feel free to do so. A link is in the video description below, as well as in a card at the upper right corner of the screen right now. Anyways, guys, that pretty much concludes it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys would like to get more notifications from me, feel free to click on the bell or go ahead and follow me on Twitter. A link is supplied in the video description below. And if you guys would like to see more of my content, feel free to click on anything appearing on the screen right now. Thank you very much for your time.